It is Fraser and Jack here at sunny Glasgow, outside the Hydro, ahead of tonight's clash at the Castle. Jack, you excited for the show tonight?
Very excited. I think it's going to be really good.
It should be.
There's not a match that I don't care about. Wait, I care about all of the matches.
You care about all of them. And obviously there's a lot of speculation as to what could go on. And one name that has had a lot of speculation is one CM Punk. You are a big fan of CM Punk. I'm kind of dreading a possibility that he might show up, but it seems he could, because he has been spotted in Glasgow ahead of the premium live event, pay-per-view, whatever you want to call it, tonight. A Twitter user that I apologise, we can't find the original name off. We've seen it posted all over the place.
Everyone's been sharing the image, but we can't find the name of the guy. But thank you very much for taking that photo.
He has been spotted in a hotel in Glasgow. He is here in the city, and I think he's going to maybe ruin Drew's big moment.
Now, I was wondering this because a lot of people have immediately jumped to the conclusion, understandably so, that CM Punk's going to come out, screw Drew, and then the story's going to continue of Drew never quite getting his moment without it being ruined. But on the other hand, I think maybe they could do something that would kind of address both issues. You could still have CM Punk make a shock appearance, but not necessarily cost Drew the chance to beat Damian Priest and win that World Heavyweight Championship.
Kind of hope it goes that way, because, you know, we're in Scotland. We kind of want a big Drew McIntyre victory, but Punk being here, he is unadvertised. He has been teasing that he's going to be in Glasgow for tonight. I wonder how much he will actually appear on the show, whether it will just be a fleeting appearance to try and ruin the moment, or whether we'll have CM Punk's in the building. Yeah,
and since this news came out, I've been trying to analyse kind of WWE's optics, basically. So I've been as we've seen all weekend since we've been here, it's all been about Drew. We've seen videos go up of Piper Niven paying real genuine legitimate credit to Drew for what he's done for Scottish wrestling, all that sort of stuff. It all feels very Drew positive, and I think all signs definitely point towards Drew winning. But then we've seen in the past that Triple H isn't necessarily averse to screwing our expectations.
That's the thing, Just on a little side note, he even got marched into the media junket yesterday with a piper playing him. They had a bagpipes playing, and then he sort of walked in a little bit after.
That's a heel move, because they're awful.
He's getting a big push here, and I'm worried Punk's going to ruin it, but he is in Glasgow here today. But we're going to move over to a little bit of TNA news, because TNA
the line.
Victory Road was last night.
Against all odds.
Against all odds. I'm getting the wrong name of the pay-per-views, but it's Against All Odds. Thank you, Jack.
Right.
And one name that we've seen, there's been a little bit of speculation about what his future would lead to, is Jeff Hardy. Now, it was reported just the other day that his contract with AEW is up and that he's now a free agent.
Yeah.
And he showed up in TNA.
Yes, and it made sense given the context of the show, because the main event was obviously Moose defending the championship against Matt Hardy. It all ended in quite chaotic fashion. Moose managed to retain the title via heelish means, with a bit of help from the system, his stable as well. They're all beating Matt Hardy down. Who's gonna save the day?
Who's gonna save it?
Who's gonna save Matt Hardy? It's his cooler younger brother.
Yeah, the cool one. He didn't take as long on the entrance as he did when he debuted in AEW. He didn't do a little boogie on the ramp, but he did come running down with a steel chair, hitting people with steel chairs, hitting people with twisted fates, hitting Moose with a swanton bomb. It looks like he hasn't missed a day, because he hasn't. He's been in AEW.
Well, yeah, fair enough. Although it has been quite a turbulent latter run of Jeff Hardy's AEW career. Hopefully this is a new fresh start in TNA for him. Him and Matt always kind of... It seems like they're always more motivated when they're together, or certainly Jeff is, and Matt can sort of include him in
his broken world,
madcap creativity. We've seen examples of that since Matt's first appeared in TNA as well, and I can only assume that Jeff's going to get involved in those sort of storylines as well.
We're not quite sure what type of contract he's got with TNA at the moment. There's not been any news in that regards. We know Matt's been on sort of paper appearance, so it could be that they're on the similar sort of deal. But we will have more information, I'm sure, as that breaks. But staying with TNA from last night, we had a bit of a prohibited portal moment. We had a lot of speculation and rumours that we were going to see some WWE influence on the show, and we saw just that with one Tatum Paxley. Answering Jordan Grace's TNA Knockouts Open Challenge.
Yes, Tatum Paxley was, I think, probably the expected name. Everybody thought, yes, this seems like it's going to be an NXT superstar given the recent crossover between TNA and specifically the NXT brand. And Tatum Paxley had sort of mixed it up with Jordynne Grace a little bit. Obviously, Jordynne Grace came into NXT, challenged Roxanne Perez for her NXT Women's Championship unsuccessfully. Tatum Paxley was involved in the match, as was Ash by Elegance, the former Dana Brooke. But it was Tatum Paxley who seemed obsessed with the Knockouts Championship, the belt, the physical belt. She kept on trying to steal it or touch it. In the match, she tried to run off with it. Jordynne Grace stopped her, and then Tatum answered the call last night.
She was obviously unsuccessful in her attempt at that title last night in TNA, but it does lead to, like, how much more crossover we're going to get.
Yeah.
It's an exciting time for all this. There's many interviews that we put up just on the channel already and more to come, where I spoke to some people at the WWE Media Junket and asked them directly about this crossover appeal and what we could possibly see. So check out those interviews on the channel. Now, is there anyone that you really want to see go over to TNA yourself?
There's many, but what I was going to say was this maybe says a lot about Tatum Paxley's position within WWE because she's not the most experienced on the NXT brand. I wouldn't say she's the least either, but she's certainly not been maybe as featured a name. I think she's had she was part of a triple threat match for that NXT Women's Championship, but she's not been consistently at the top of that women's division. However, the fact that she's the one they've kind of entrusted with this role of going over to TNA, having this match against a massive name in Jordynne Grace, I think that says a lot about maybe they've got designs on Tatum as a promising star for the future.
It's a good sign, certainly. A good sign for the future, though, as well, is looking forward to Clash at the Castle. Chad Gable, we've had a little bit of an update on his contract. Obviously, he's facing Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship tonight. Again, one that could go either way, but according to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, Chad Gable's WWE contract is either nearing expiration or has indeed already expired. He is booked for the show tonight, but it was also reported that WWE have made, quote, an excellent offer to retain his services.
Yeah, those reports came out a few days ago, and it was all kind of various outlets reported them. It seemed like quite exciting news. But then the Wrestling Observer came out with this very recent report that there is a prevailing belief within WWE that Gable will opt to re-sign and to stay with the company.
The fact that it's all reports saying that there's nothing concrete that he has actually signed just yet, but it's all the belief that he will. Will they switch the title to Chad Gable tonight?
That's one of those matches tonight that I find really hard to call because I think the story can progress regardless of who wins. So Sami could win, it could lead to further tension between Otis and Gable. Gable could win and become even more of a egomaniac, even more horrible towards Alpha Academy, and that could further the tension between him and Otis. I think whether or not Chad ends up with the title tonight, we're going to possibly see Otis versus Chad as this big match at SummerSlam.
The next big,
or maybe Money in the Bank. SummerSlam would be a bigger platform for it.
I think I agree with you there. SummerSlam would be a good one. Otis needs a big push. He's so good.
He's been getting great reactions again as well. They did a really good explanation recently where Sami Zayn was saying to him, why are you letting Chad treat you like this? And Otis gave a really good another example of Triple H being kind of more aware of continuity and the storyline's history than Vince was, saying things like Otis was going, well, I lost everything. I lost my Money in the Bank briefcase. I lost my peach, Mandy Rose. I lost Tucky, he said.
He did lose Tucky.
And Chad was the one who came and picked me up, and that's why I'm indebted to him. Yeah. And we were on the podcast like, it all makes so much sense.
It all folds in together. Yeah, it's a long-term storyline. But going from one person with great reactions in Otis to Drew McIntyre, he turning up at an independent wrestling event in Glasgow, Scotland. He turned up at ICW's After Hours show last night. Absolutely incredible. Yeah. Him getting to turn up at his old home of ICW, the place where 10 years ago he returned to the independent scene. Yeah. He returned at ICW and really sort of kickstarted the Drew McIntyre we see today.
Yeah.
He turned up there last night and he was introduced by his best friend Jack Jester, who welcomed him to the ring, the current ICW champion. They teased a little bit of a fight, a little bit of a brawl. But then they had a big hug. It was lovely. They're not going to fight. Drew's got a big match, and he probably can't do that.
I really like that they did this because, as you mentioned, ICW is where Drew came up. It's where he returned to the independent scene after he was famously let go from WWE when it wasn't quite working out. It's where he reinvented himself, or where he began to reinvent himself. Yeah. He's always been kind of the man here in Scotland, I suppose, in terms of wrestling.
He's the guy.
And ICW is, the biggest independent promotion in Scotland as well. So it all made sense. I assume, unfortunately we weren't there, I assume the live crowd had a tremendous time when he came out.
It was loud in the videos that I've seen. I know a couple of people there, and it was raucous. They were going Yaldi, the Gina Yaldi. It was loud. You prefer, what's he like? It would look
Owen liked that behind the camera. He's loving it.
Pierce is loving it as well.
Pierce is loving it
Great
too.
moments.
We're popping all the boys.
But it's great to see Drew getting that appearance,
Yeah.
getting to go in ICW, getting to have that moment with his friends. It does, again, we're going back to this sort of crossover idea. We've seen crossovers with ICW before. They used to have that partnership with WWE. Triple H has appeared there.
Yeah.
Will we start to see that again with them in the UK scene as Triple H tries to go a bit more global?
It's quite interesting, isn't it? I'm not certain because on one hand, yes, Triple H is enjoying this closer relationship with the independent scene,
Yeah.
but on the other hand, it seems to be more truly international now, and is scattered all around the world.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we'll see maybe as consistent a partnership as in the past with them featuring on the network. And all the wrestlers kind of getting involved with NXT UK and everything. But I think that we might see continued examples of this happening just around the world.
Just around the world.
Yeah.
I quite like that. But anyway, that is all we have for you just now. We will, of course, have more wrestling news later on today, and we've got all the coverage for Clash at the Castle. We're going to be in there live in that building right behind us. There'll be reactions on the channel as well, WTF moments. There'll be more wrestling news tomorrow, so stay tuned to all our channels, and we will see you later on.